Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe, and as promised, I am going to be doing a deck profile. It hasn't gone up yet, but basically I said I'd do this in the tournament coverage that Zionic later recorded. It might be up by the time this deck profile goes up. And like normal deck profiles, I don't like to do suboptimal ones, but since I won the tournament, I said, hey, I'll do this. This will be a Battle Brawlers version deck, and it is suboptimal. I will be talking about like what changes I would make to it to make it optimal, but also keep in mind that this is still the Battle Brawlers version of the deck. So if you're in an area that has researches, this doesn't really apply that much to you. But for what feels like the majority of the world that is stuck in Battle Brawlers, this will apply to you. Unless you're into Karatomi Land, in which case Chaos Nihilus doesn't even exist. The only one with the Bakugan on this team that even exists is Vent Destruction. That's the one I'd swap. Regardless, let's get into it. Let's get into it. First up, we have Ventus Trucks. So basically, when it comes to the other Bakugan that aren't Chaos Nihilus on this team, the philosophy is, well, these are the Bakugan. These are like the few Bakugan available in Battle Brawlers that have magic shields and also have 500B or more. There he is. Now the thing with Ventus Trox in particular, he is 500B, 1 damage. That 1 damage is quite low, and his Evo is not fantastic. This is one of the first things I changed in the deck, actually. I would swap this out for Ventus Pegatrix. The only reason I was running Ventus Trox is that Ventus Pegatrix is exclusive to a 3-pack and a 5-pack, neither of which have any other good Bakugan. So I had not picked up Ventus Pegatrix yet. I'm going to be picking it up very soon, but I had not picked it up yet, and that's the only reason Ventus Trox was here over that. Second up, we have, and it brings Helix and a Magic Shield. Magic Shield is, of course, plus 650B, and the Helix is plus 500B, minus 1 damage. For anything except for Trox, that minus 1 damage is going to be extremely low impact, so we don't really care about it, and we'd rather have that plus 500B. We don't want to go with the plus 600B, minus 2 damage. Like the minus 2 damage is too much of a trade-off for only 100 extra B. So this is the perfect Helix core. Next up, we have Aurelus Howl Core. Oh, he went right off. Alright. So Aurelus Howl Core is, of course, one of the very few other Bakugan available in Battle Brawlers that carries a magic shield and also has a base of 500B or more. Aurelus Howl Core itself is very, very good. 505 base stats. When it's on a magic shield, it gets plus 4 damage, so it goes up to 9. And this is extremely good in the early game, because in the early game, your opponent is not going to have any stops, barring a pack that will be able to stop that. So very often, you will be able to get in just 9 to 12 damage if you evolved into its Evo for free, just basically for free. And the 1150B is hard to beat as well. So this is a very fantastic early game Bakugan with a low cost Evo that we'll get into later to go along with it. It carries a shield and magic shield, so magic shield is of course plus 650B and shield is plus 300B. You could run the Chaos Ventus plus 400 shield, but I don't. I prefer my Aurelus actually being able to use my shield. Then, lastly, we have the star of the show, Chaos Nihilus himself. He brings Flaming Fist and a Magic Shield. Magic Shield is, of course, again, plus 650B, and Flaming Fist is the best B power booster Flaming Fist that is available, the plus 250B and plus 3 damage. He is a weak little boy at first at 305, but he gets big. And like sometimes because we're using magic shields, he can still win in that base form because, you know. Alright, and here is the full deck. Not quite as many 3-ups as I would prefer. As I said, this is suboptimal. One proxy here for Chaos Titan Nihilus. This is because during the tournament I was borrowing my third Chaos Titan Ilias from Zeonic Blader. I will be getting a third of my own as soon as possible, but I do not actually own the third. I was just borrowing it for the tournament. So, let's get into this. One costs. Supershot and Nature's Power are both great. Supershot is the best no strings attached one cost available at this time. Just one plus 300B. I mean, we're already going on Magic Shields. That makes this pretty hard to beat. Nature's Power is a very, very good card. One cost for 500B. Minus, of course. So for fighting any opposing Ventus or any opposing Shadow Strike, this becomes less useful. But it's still an incredible card. Scales incredibly well into the later stages of the game. Moving from the one cost, we have two cost Light's Curse. This card is incredible. Best two costs in the game. Plus 400B normally. Goes up to plus 800B if you're in Domination. And with our strong early game thanks to Magic Shields, these one costs. And Consort and Chaos Titan Ilias also activating Domination. That will be very easy to beat in. Stoic Shot. This is the first card that is only here because this is suboptimal. This would probably be swapped out for Sky's Hymn, but it's just here as some extra draw power just in case, because there's no other card that I really wanted. I don't think I ever needed this at any point in the tournament. Yeah, because Q-Pocalypse was handling all my draw power needs. Turn to Energy. This is basically here because in Battle Brawlers we have a whole lot more extra space than we would in Resurgence. And since we're carrying Ventus anyways, why not carry the ability to get off Chaos Ilias turn 3? It's pretty good. As you can see in Game 3 of the match video that I uploaded yesterday. 2 copies of Wayne. Every removal is very useful. Wasn't so useful in the tournament yesterday because a lot of the decks weren't really complete. So there weren't a whole lot of Evos being played against me. But it's still a fantastic card that you want to have around for dealing with most optimal builds. Consort, this is just so that we can grab, basically this is just so that we can grab Magic Shields either as a plus 650B boost or to activate our abilities if we miss. Bone Defense, this is basically here as extra B power boosting filler. 3 costs for plus 700B, it's pretty good. Q-Pocalypse, love this card. 4 costs for plus 500B, and we draw 3 for a Domination. As I went over with Light's Curse, that is pretty easy to be in, and this will fill your hand real good. Also got Wax in here. This is 6 cost, destroy all enemy Evos. I really love this card. For the same reason as Wayne, this didn't really come up much, but I like this card a lot. It is an extremely devastating play when played down at the right time. Love it a lot. Colonel Armstrong Trip. Despite being rare, I only had 1 copy of this. I would probably run 2, maybe 3 in an optimal build for Battle Brawlers, which is mainly just because there isn't that much draw power, and there's, as I said before, we have space. A lot of things in Battle Brawlers, especially for a Chaos Ventus deck like this, is just come down to, well, we have space, so why not? But this gets us an extra card every time we attack, which is basically a victor draw card, which is decently solid to have around, especially in a deck that is so high B power as this one, and can help us sustain our resources in a drawn out game against, say, a flip heavy deck. Chaos Titan Ilias is of course the core of the deck. 4 costs, so relatively, it's not too highly costed. We can get up pretty comfortably by the end of our first team attack. So when it lands on when it has a magic shield, it gets plus 200B and can grab any other card on the field. And when it has a flaming fist, it gets plus 4 damage. So if we need damage, we can go up to, that would be 1915 damage. And if we need B power, we just go up to 2300B and still 8 damage. So it's a pretty versatile Bakon, very, very strong, and very good at activating our Domination. Hyper Hollow Core Ultra, I would have another copy of this in if I had it. This is a 2 cost Evo that gives us a plus 400B boost which is right on curve, which is great, and it will also be giving us an additional 3 total damage if we're on a magic shield. So it's a pretty great early game Evo, and yeah. And Titan Trox is just here in case we need, in case the game goes on long enough and we need Trox to get bigger, and because we're going to need to roll him again. As I said, Trox should be swapped out for Ventus Pegatrix, and as a result, this should be swapped out for Ventus Hyper Pegatrix, which is very, very good, because Ventus Hyper Pegatrix is basically a mini Titan Alias. It's 3 costs, and as long as it lands on a magic shield, it goes up to 2250. Really, really strong. Yeah. And then for our flips, well, we are running Chaos and Ventus, so we have access to 2 keyword flips. So why don't we run 2 keyword flips? That's basically the philosophy here. In some testing that I did pretty early on, I found that the instances where you can play a 3-cost flip and not be able to pay for one of these keyword flips without the keyword is pretty rare. I found these instances to be extremely uncommon, and the main relevant case where they come up is in situations where you're getting team attacked on turn 3, and if you're getting team attacked on turn 3, there's probably something else going very, very wrong here, and being able to pay for that flip isn't really going to help that because you are so behind at that point. Yeah. So yeah, this is Chaos Titan Ilias. Yeah, Battle Brawler Chaos Titan Ilias. As I said in some of the commentaries, I like Aurelius Howlcore a lot and kind of really want to make him fit into the deck more. Like, try to keep him in the deck post Resurgence, but like, it's so hard because Paris and Aquos are so good, and Paris Nobilius Ultra and Aquos Cobalt are so good. Like, those are Aurelius Garganoid Ultra tier Bakugan. Like, it's so hard to ever convince oneself to not just go the natural route of Chaos Ilias, Paris, and Nobilius Ultra, and Aquos Cobalt. Like, it's just such a, or Aquos Paravian in the Aquos slot. Like, there's so many good options in those factions. But I would like to try and keep him around. But with that said, that is going to be it for the deck profile. There are 2 more rounds of commentaries that still need to go up at this point, so check those out when they come out. And this is Hunter Surge, signing off.